Dummy switch part. I don't know if we should have some hymns during the intro or what we're supposed to do, because we are lost. We are lost right now. We need to be found.
Yeah. I agree. I'm hurt. I'm upset. You know, it's been a tough few days.
Definitely tough few days. But I've come to terms with it. And I think after the initial shock, it's time to kick on. And I think it's also, as much as we're hurt, we're this, we're that, it spices the series up more.
Yeah, that's true. It really does. It does make. Now I think we're really going to see the true character of this Springbok group as world champions. You know, in this test. You know, the second test is coming up. But one thing I can say is that, you know, when dad is not home, the criminals initially, they scared to come in. And then when they realize that dad isn't home, then they want to do what they want to do. And I think, the man of the house is by his other family.
Just by his other family.
We know, you know. So, you know, I think that's a big point. But, you know, let's get into this game, man.
Yeah, but I will say, after all of this, it would make victory more sweeter if we do land up winning the next two. So let's enjoy the spice for now. And by dad, we obviously mean Dwayne Vermeulen, the other water boy. There's been a controversial water boy in this series. The other water boy, Dwayne Vermeulen for the Bulls, less controversial in his position. They're missing him. Kwagga Smith, they targeted him. They targeted him from a kicking perspective.
Yeah. Because I think we spoke about it, about the whole, you know, in terms of from a height perspective, you know, in terms of the physical attributes that Kwagga brings, or that he doesn't have, as opposed to the man of the house, you know. But look, credit to the Lions, you know, and I'm not surprised, because we've seen it happen in Super Rugby before. Let's be honest. Think back to Super Rugby, especially in the finals or in the games, you know, big games. He has been sort of that one player that they do single out, you know. I don't know what they've seen in him, or what other teams see in him, that, you know, they just want to go at him and until he makes a mistake. And, you know, it paid off for the Lions.
Definitely. And I mean, you see, the thing with having multiple games to play, like the test, the adjustments is what wins ultimately.
Yeah.
Adjustments is what wins. And for them to make that adjustment at halftime, it's brilliance. It's coaching. It's the stuff you need to win.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, that's what happens when you have how many head coaches, you know, all sitting in one box. You know, you've got 4 teams basically, you know, 4 nations in there. So you'd be surprised if they would fail. Yeah, you'd be surprised if they'd fail to make those adjustments. You know, I think that would have been for us then, you know, just a walk in the park at the end of the day if they weren't able to make those adjustments. But, you know, you have to take your hat off to them. They came prepared. They want to win the series, you know, and they've definitely now put down the gauntlet. It's all in South Africa's court now to say, okay, what are the Boks going to do? You know, but
Boks started bright. You saw with that big hit. There was that intensity. And the first half, I was even thinking, we waited 12 years for this. You know, we waited 12 years for these guys to visit, and then they made me eat some humble pie. But Boks in that first half, a lot of woes that we had going into it. I mean, we were talking about the scrums, Kani being off form. He showed big BMT, you know, to turn your form around.
Yes,
when it's needed. There's guys that can turn their form around mid-season, whatever the case, but the match that is needed, he did it.
Yeah.
Mbonambi was that he was giving that fight. He was that dog. He's that dog. You need that guy that's gonna fire things up. You heard him giving the shouts, winning scrums, and even Ox, he held up his end of the deal with his scrums, and we saw his carries there, and that front row. It was a mistake to take them off that early. I think that was a pivotal mistake.
Yes. Yeah, because we handed the momentum to them. Look, and I know I read a few articles, in terms of what they reported back, that no niggles here, there, and whatever. But for me, it's look, at some point, they felt that the guys had emptied their tank and they took them off. But you must be prepared to die on that pitch. There were people prepared to die on the streets, for a fridge, so when I'm just saying, but, all jokes aside, I think that front row was really, they were performing at their optimum. And that's what got us on that front foot. In that first off was just, it almost looked a bit like a formality, if you know what I mean, because the penalties were getting ticked over, putting the pressure game. Like if I had to look at the notes that I had, in terms of the box, they were working hard, in terms of the rucks and just defensively. You mentioned Arms set the tone up front, with the big hit, and then everybody just followed. And the pressure game, the work rate in the pressure game in that first half was what you would have expected. And for me, looking at that first half, even that whole game, that game as a whole, I'm still of the belief or thought that, the Springboks haven't, okay, maybe at times they've touched third gear or even a higher gear, but they haven't really found that, the consistency to stay there, and that's what's scary about this team for me, is that they haven't even, hit the heights that they potentially can, but they're still a good side. There's just a few things that need to be worked on, I think, and look, if I'm the Lions, I'll be worried, because yes, as much as you have this big opportunity, they're not just going to give it to them like that. I'd be very, very surprised.
Yeah, it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be the same type of game. The Boks have made I think they've made more changes than the Lions have. Even watching that first half, the whole time I was thinking, okay, eventually there's going to be a time where the Lions do have territory and they do have possession. But my thinking was, what are they going to do with it? I don't think they're going to do enough. But they did enough. They pressed with that maul. They showed the scrum up when Vunipola came on, and they got the job done. Albeit some refereeing decisions, some controversial refereeing decisions. The week before, they had been putting pressure on referees. Maybe leading to that TMO decision.
Yeah.
When I saw it in real time, I did think he was ahead of the kicker. I did think, but when I saw it on video, I thought they were talking about, commentary on this side was talking about the foot and talking about the foot hitting the ball, and he looked like he was behind. Yeah.
Look, that's the nice thing about this show, is that we can say, the referee and the TMO, they were shit. Excuse my French, but I don't feel like you don't want to put too much focus on the referees and the officials. They're already under pressure as it is, but there's certain things that are really clear, blatant, and you're thinking to yourself, look, let's just at least get the right call. Let's not be afraid to make the right call. Doesn't matter where you come from, or what your nationality is. You have to make an objective assessment of what is going on according to the laws of the game, and that wasn't consistently applied throughout. And that's the reality of the situation. Yes, they're human. We understand that. But in such a big test series, we cannot have two Lions tours that are going to come down, and what we end up talking about at the end of the Lions tours is the refereeing decisions. We saw that in New Zealand in the last tour. And, let's say, look, definitely, maybe it won't come directly from the South African management team or whatever, but let's say the series does go pear-shaped for the Springboks and it's down to refereeing decisions. At the end of the day, that doesn't cover the Lions and doesn't cover the tour in glory, and it becomes controversial.
But we've seen, especially today, we've seen a controversial figure pop up on Twitter that some saying it's Rassie's burner account. He's using all he can to influence the ref. So I mean, they're getting on their job and doing the same thing basically. So it's all fair. It's all fair in love and war. That's what it seems like.
At the end of the day, look, if that's where they want to take it, then that's where it has to be. But I still believe the referees need to be a bit more objective, and really use the technology, use the angles that you have, and don't be influenced by what was said, because I think that's really a big one of the things that really left a bit of a sour taste in the mouth. But don't take anything away from the Lions, because at the end of the day, they had to take the opportunities that were given to them.
They had to get it done. I mean, the game wasn't going to win itself.
Exactly.
We look at performances. If we do look at the try that was scored by who was it when Mapimpi gave it back to him?
It was Faf that scored. That wasn't a try.
Yeah,
Peter Steph knocked it on. For me, like, that wasn't a try, because he touches his fingers, if you know what I mean, as he's trying to pick it up against his leg. And
I don't think it is.
Yeah.
But I mean, if we're talking performances, that came off a stray pass from Pollard. I don't know if Pollard necessarily influenced the game as much as he should have. And then now we see Yanchi's being cut out. Kwagga. I mean, if we're talking this coming game, we've got Visa put in there. We thought the tour was over for him. I mean, if we were talking last week, and we thought he was maybe one of the guys that came for a good camp and a few midweek games, but he's in the thick of things now. Yeah,
look, talking about Pollard, I think but for all of them, to be honest, it showed like the international rugby is different to, club rugby is different to Super Rugby against yourselves, Currie Cup against yourselves, and with the Lions guys, I think they were a bit more exposed to international rugby, particularly having had the opportunity to play Six Nations and things like that. So you can see that not a lot of guys had that real influence, i.e. Pollard in this instance. Yes, okay, he was kicking well, barring that one that he missed to get the lead back, which maybe would have swayed a bit of the momentum. But anyway, and then with Elton missing out in the coming game, I think that's a tough one for him, very tough. But, the coaches are backing their guy. And then Visa, I think that for him, this is going to be a real baptism of fire, to be honest. And he has to. There's no other way. I think for all of them, the beauty of it is that everybody's in the same boat from a Springbok perspective, is that everybody's got to front up. Doesn't matter whether you 1 cap, 2 cap, 50 cap Springbok. This coming weekend is, everything is on the line. And you'd hope that Visa, I think he's probably been prepared for this, and that he takes his opportunity and he tries to bring a different dynamic to that pack from number 8, because I think that's where it's needed the most.
Yeah, hopefully he's been practicing under the high ball. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how they're going to arrange that. Moving on to the bench, where there's a bit more of change. Marks remains there. Nyakani back to the bench. Looks like they're doing it the other way around, bringing him on second half. Vincent Koch.
Yeah.
This is where I have worries. Compared to last week, this is, we were talking about last week and saying every single one of those players there's you have confidence in every single one of those players. This is back to those days of can AD Jacobs really do it? It's back to those days. You know what I mean? It's back to those days where you're unsure of certain guys. Koch, especially for his form. Happy van Staden is there. Smith back on the bench. The guy that really I feel had a tough one was Herschel Jantjies. I don't think he's not in great form, and he looked out of his depth. If you look at Elton had that nice hanging kick. I think it was Fulham, so they got it back for them. Boks are now in the 22 or on the edge of 22. We can get something rolling here. And he was just sitting on the ball for too long. I don't think he's the man. I don't think he looked out of his depth.
Yeah.
I just don't think he's on form right now.
I completely agree with you. I think this is another case of, whether it's said or not, but picking order, from a picking order perspective, it's just he's in there, and obviously he's got to, manage the ship, from 9 and but now the issue is that, like you said,
when we're chasing a game, is he the man that can do that? I mean, think of how Jaden Hendrickse plays. If you had brought on Jaden Hendrickse, that ball would have been coming out much faster, and you would have been some initiative.
Especially, like you say, when you're chasing the game, So it's just, I completely agree with you. Right now, he's not on form, but then at the same time, is okay. Do you want to put Reinach in there? I think, you know what? Yes, give him a shot, because he's been in the system. He's been in Europe. I think he's played more. He's seen different pictures over the past year with COVID and everything. He's seen more different pictures to what Jantjies has faced, different sort of pressure situations to Jantjies, and I feel he's been that side more in form. So I say, does it warrant that he gets a chance? Yes, but you don't want it to be too late when the series is gone, because then that won't matter. If he gets a game in the third test. I just feel brave calls needed to be made. And I understand backing the system and backing your guys, but if you really, I think for us, from the outside looking in, you're thinking to yourself, geez, okay. If you're looking at it from an 8-man perspective and what we see in the domestic scene, you're thinking to yourself, okay, how does a guy like Ivan Rus, for example, how does he not, get a look in just for his intensity, just what he brings, as a bolter, as an example, we'll talk about him later, but Jantjies, you really put somebody else in that position, we get the momentum. We get the momentum back, we're putting them under pressure, and maybe we win the game, we pull that one out of the fire, because I think all around, it's only, yes, the referees, etc., but at the end of the day, I think it's just these guys will be looking more at themselves than anything else,
Yeah, I think especially with Kolisi, I think, when we reach the next game, I think he'll have a different kind of game. He had one big carry. Then you didn't really see him much throughout. I think he was doing the dirty work, but I'd like to see more of those big runs, more of a standout game for him. So I think these guys are going to come out firing.
They have to, and it goes back. I know I was saying it in a joking way about Dad being missing, but if you think about it, for example, like you say, Kolisi had one big run and we didn't see much of him. Yes, he was doing the dirty work, but there wasn't that guy that was the man of the house, where, in the pack, this is my house and none of this, you know what I mean? It just didn't feel like there was that one person that's taking charge. And I'm not talking about it from a leadership perspective, and I'm not questioning the leadership, I'm not questioning the desire, but it's just that attitude, to know that, okay, listen, yes, we are under pressure, but you know what? It stops now. This is what we're going to do, and this is how we get back into the game. I think that's the thing that's missing. and whether people want to hear it or not, that's the value of Dwayne Vermeulen. And we've seen it for the Bulls a number of times, and we've seen it for the Boks when he's there and when he's not there.
That's true. That's true. We're gonna move on to some Currie Cup. I think that was where I got my entertainment and rugby joy this weekend. Well, through the week as well.
Ooh.